So today we are going to walk through the Garmin screen. So this entire van, the battery system in it is Victron. It's a 48 volt Victron system. It's a 10 kilowatt, which is equal to a lot of amp hours. But the actual interface that controls it is Artek and Garmin. So it's an integration to where everything's controlled from one screen. There's no physical switches, so everything is right here from your phone or a switch panel up front. We'll show you later for the exterior lights. This is where the screen will start. These tabs here kind of navigate you to the places that you want to go for the most part. You know, we have just a few little things on the front here to access quickly. If you want to turn your inverter on really quick, you can. Lower your bed up and down, interior lights on and off. Air compressor, which is mounted outside. We got 2 ports, and then we've got 2 separate fridges as well. But then if you go to this next tab here, we have our battery system where it monitors how many amps we're using right now, what the battery voltage is at and the percentage. The solar, you know, it's not putting any amps out right now because we're underneath a lean-to. And then it shows, you know, how many DC amps we are pulling or putting in as a negative, so it means we're taking away from the batteries right now. Then over in this section, this is your AC, which is alternating current. You have your multi-plus, which is your inverter. So let's say you just want to turn the inverter on to use your microwave or your outlets or anything else that is 120 volt. You simply just click that button and that's going to switch it just on and off, right? You hear a beep come on, so everything's live right now. Let's say that you're plugged in, on will work, but when this is on, it does drain the batteries a little bit, because right here you can see that it is pulling 120 volts. And then there's a little bit of amperage kind of just leaking through just because it's on. But if you just want to do charger only, you can click that and then it'll turn the inverter off. So basically the only difference between the two is on is the outlets are live and the microwave is on. Charger only allows input from shore power when you're just charging the van or you're storing it. And then another kind of important feature that you want to pay attention to is AC limit. So what this does is it allows or doesn't allow a certain amount of amperage through the system. So if you're at a campsite and you've got a cord big enough for a 30 amp, you would want it to be on 30 amp, but if you're plugging into like a house outlet with an adapter of 30 to 15 amp, you're going to be pulling full 15 amps from the house, so you don't want that thing pumped up to 30. You want to keep it you know, a little lower, so we keep it on 15, and then we'll show our clients, of course, you know, if they're at a campsite and they want to do 30, they can. So when you're plugged in, right now we're not. You see amperage at 0, voltage at 0. This just kind of tells you what's coming in, the voltage, all those things, so you can monitor and make sure everything's working. And then, of course, same thing, you know, with AC loads. Turn charger up so it switches back over, and it just kind of shows, you know, what's happening real time right here. So onto the rest of the system to control. And this little fan right here, when you click on it, this is going to take you to your vent fan and your hydronic system. So let's say hydronic system, for example. Let's walk through that one so we know how to use it. So hot water, heat source, distribution, and thermostat. So this right here is just like your house. Right now it's 68 degrees inside the van. So if we wanted it to be warmer, you know, we would put that where we want it. We would, of course, click the fan on, put it at what percentage we wanted it to be at. If this doesn't come on right away, that's okay. It has to have a certain temperature to blow the fans, which is going to be based off of whether you're running the furnace or electric. Furnace is your heat source. This is what you're going to be using, or furnace and electric, this is your heat source options. So, for example, if we wanted to heat it up using the diesel in the tank and it uses very minimal amounts, we would click furnace and that would fire on, right? So like right now it's pumping fuel, it's going to be firing on. But let's say that you're storing it inside and you want to do everything the same. You want, you know, to keep the van warm because it's cold outside. You would select electric instead of furnace. It's going to do the same thing. It's just not going to burn fuel. It's going to use electric, but you need to be plugged in when using that option. And then of course hot water is what it is. You know, you just click hot water when you want hot water. The reason you would click hot water and then of course you would have this deselected would be if you're in the hottest summer, you don't want your heat blowing, but you need hot water to wash dishes or take a shower. So that's all pretty self-explanatory beyond that. And then of course ventilation. This is your vent fan. This one only has one vent fan in it because of rooftop air conditioner. But on this, it gives you the different options to, you know, of course, turn it off and on. It was already on. Right now it's exhausting. You can change the percentage. There's 10 speeds. And then you can also change it to where if you want to pull air in rather than exhaust air, you just hit that button and it all does it automatically. So yeah, moving on to the next one, we have our plumbing. This is your water pump. So when you want to use your shower, exterior shower, or your sink, you just select that and it starts pumping water. And then, of course, your gray dump, when your gray tank, we had it open, so it's empty right now, but if it was full and we needed to dump it, all you do is press that button, and then it'll open a valve outside that'll spill it out onto the ground. There's also a hose connection if you need to discard it into an appropriate place. There is a cap over top of that to keep like dirt daubers and other things out, so if it's not draining, then make sure that that cap's off. So we'll deselect those. And then of course the next one, this is the lighting tab. This is interior and exterior, so it shows all the different things. You know, you can control everything individually from here. You can turn everything off and on. Showers here, bed lights here, it's dimmable. Ceilings here, it's dimmable. Flares off and on, under cabinets off and on. And then of course exterior, it's kind of the same thing. You've got your different options here. And we also have a panel up front, which would probably be used a lot more than this screen, but it gives you an option to utilize it here as well. And then of course last is all the other switches. That's kind of these little toggles here. Once we click on that screen here, it's going to show the different things, right? So you've got your fridge 1 and fridge 2. So this one has like a beverage cooler or a meat locker, and then it also has just a regular like RV style fridge. So we have both of those. If you wanted to switch them off, if you're storing it, you can do so here very easily. The two things here outside of those that you can't find in other pages is going to be your Wii Boost. So we've got that. You just click that on, it immediately sends power and turns it on. And then bed power. So it has a safety built in, right? So if I click this, nothing's happening to the bed. But if I click that to allow power to go to it and then click that, the bed will lower. And then also when I hit up, it goes up. So this just keeps it to where you know, kids can't accidentally hit that and, you know, mess something up. You just always make sure that that's toggled off. And then, you know, hopefully they don't figure out how to do both at the same time. Yeah, so that's the Artek screen. It's pretty simple. One thing I do want to point out real quick that we're talking about bed is, let's say that we lower the bed and then you're going up and it overcurrents. The way that you reset these fuses, they're all digital, is you hold right here on the Artek for about 3 to 5 seconds. And then, excuse me, you got to be on this page right here. You hold it 3 to 5 seconds. It's embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. It's not working. Why isn't it working? There it is. So there's nothing that has been over-circuited, but if there was right here, you'd see a thing to hit reset and you'd click it. And then, of course, it would reset the fuses that had blown. So that's just something to note. But yeah, outside of that, that's the screen.